Hi. Well, I don't think I'm the best at explaining electrical setups. I will freely admit, but at least I'm going to hop into it quick. So that's, the silver lining. So what this allows you to do is basically play a song. So if you don't know, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. You can record things onto tapes, but as we see here, 30 seconds maximum. I have suggested to Facebook longer tapes would be nice, but in the interim, you need to have this in order to play a full song. So this is a just shy of 3-minute song. It is the song Glider by Japanese Breakfast from the video game Sable. So for every 30 seconds, you're going to need a separate boombox. And these are sort of in series. So basically, once activated, the first one plays, and when it's done, the next one plays, etc., etc., etc. And then this, resets it at the beginning for the next person to play. I will say in testing, when you do, and I hope you do, I would, these were my test tapes, where basically I just say the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I had those tapes in when testing. You're going to need a fair amount of power for these because each of these takes 10. So this part from the switch here, lets you determine how you get that power in. I have way too much, but better too much than not enough. You're also going to need a lot of these. Okay, so this one's in the ceiling light. This one is into an electrical branch, which I believe is coming into this. Basically, this one is powering the boomboxes themselves. So I've got 6 boomboxes, which means 2 splitters, 3 and 3. But if you have more, you'll need more. If you have less, you'll need, you guessed it, less. And it's a fairly significant amount that you'll need power-wise, especially if you're going to have sound coming out to things. So these are all connected to speakers. That's the one sort of, I wish they had a way to combine audio into one speaker, but you're going to need, if you're going to have speakers or anything coming out of these, 1 speaker per. So for example, I want the song to be heard from this chair, which you can't really if they're over there. So I needed these 6 speakers all sort of attached, which is kind of a pain. And if you want things like light bars or, oh, you know what? We want to give a pro little tip on that. So if you can either come to a server like Art of Rust that has it, or convince the server owner. There is a station called Silence, or the ability to add a silent station. So when that song starts playing, for example, in my builds, that simultaneous silent station starts playing. And then that is where all my, sort of laser lights and stuff like that comes from. Okay, so that's a sort of separate thing. All right, so the way I like to often trigger things is with RF. So when you're sitting in that chair, there's a button that will trigger both the silent as well as this. So RF on. There. So then that then triggers this first timer. Let's go through this one at a time. So RF is triggered here, which turns this on, which, at least I color coded it this time. I feel like I didn't the first time. Which toggles this. Oh yeah, all of these have just power coming in. How much power? 25. Why is it so much? I think I needed a fair amount. Or I went overboard. So you could see all the blues are powering the timers. Blues powering timers. Yellows powering Zor. But I think the Zor, yeah, the Zor doesn't need a lot. It just needs enough so that when both of these have power coming through, power will not come through here. Okay, back to here. Okay, so this goes into a branch. The branch goes into 2 spots. It goes into the toggle play with just 2 power. 1 power would be fine. I sneezed. And then this will have how much power coming through? 25, I think. Or 23 or whatever. So currently there's power coming through. Zor. But once it starts playing, power will stop coming through. And then when the 30-second is done and power is no longer coming into the Zor, then power will come through again and set off the next timer. Okay, so yeah, this into the Zor. Okay, so now we go to the Zor, which is just out, setting off the next timer. I'm going to run through this a couple of times just so I can see. Okay, so which then sets off the timer, which has power coming in from above, which goes into the branch, which sends 2, even 1 is fine, just to toggle it on, toggle the boombox on, and the rest going through this, which prevents power coming through here for the 30 seconds that this is on. Then once the 30 seconds is up, power will stop coming through this one, allowing the 2 from this, from these, from the yellow. Could also be just 1, but you know, default is 2, so I just didn't bother changing it. To allow 2 to come through, and then toggle this, which, just again to repeat it, because I find that helps me when I'm setting it up. And again, I sort of, not again, but I find I sort of record these from the perspective of explaining it to myself, which is maybe not necessarily helpful to other people, but it's the best I can do. Okay. All right. So then that toggles this, which has the 25 coming in, which is overkill. And then that goes down into the branch, 2 of which toggles on this, the rest of which prevents power from coming through for a time. Yeah, this is definitely like overkill, the 25. Okay, it's fine, it's fine. I can experiment next time with having it. Like, I feel like 4 would be fine. 4 would be fine. Wouldn't it? Yeah. Again, not again. Lover, not an expert. Okay, so then out of the timer, rinse and repeat. Okay, so once we get to the last one, out of the timer, still, we need the one to toggle the last boombox, but this one goes into a Zor switch. This just has 5 coming out. So basically it's the exact same, except for the out is coming all the way back and turning off the switch, the initial switch. So that's all that is. All of these, except for the last one, will be set to 30. The last one is going to be dependent on how long the song is. So this is 23 seconds. Because the song is, you know, 2 minutes and 23 seconds, or something like that. I think maybe I lost a little. I will say when recording, so obviously you're going to need, oh yeah, I forgot I just reorganized this. You're going to need a recorder. I don't have a tape in it, just to show you. I'll make a tape. So tape in. I would start now the song, because if there's any moments of silence in your song that you're recording, the tape doesn't like it, and it sort of leaves a blank, and it sounds skippy. It sounds like it's skipping. That's the other thing you kind of have to do, which kind of sucks and kind of makes the song sound not great compared to, you know, just listening to it. You have to have it pretty loud. Like I'll show you right now, I have the volume at 3 and the voice props down as low as it'll go. And I'll show you how loud it is. From over here. We'll push the button. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to push the button because fireworks will go off. And I don't want to have to set those up again. So I'll just do it from over here. So basically I'll push a button and it would set this off. Actually, I could do this too. No, that would set off fireworks. Yeah, I don't want to do that. All right, never mind. I can't do this though. Yeah. So, you know, it's not exactly the best fidelity using this system. However, it's still kind of cool you can play a song. And, oh yeah, let me show. So once this section is over, you'll see there's a little hiccup between sections, and there's not really anything you can do about that. I mean, there probably is to make it a little more seamless, but how involved a system of... Okay, that was just its own little hookup there. To have these like overlap would probably be insane. Like this is, I think, the simplest way of doing it. And it's not too bad as it moves from tape to tape. Not the worst thing in the world. One final tip is anytime you're using these in general, but these specifically with tapes, it's very finicky and will often break. Now, 99 times out of 100, the fix is to go in, take the tape out, put it in your inventory, and put it back. And that'll fix most issues. So, you know, here you go. I should, you know, here you go, get a screenshot. Maybe that's the thumbnail, right? Okay, so lastly, I'll just say tutorial over, but if you want to see this insane looking build and how this song comes into play, there'll be a link below for both just, you know, sort of walking through it, and then me actually building it and stuff. So long wipe number 20 below, as well as the walkthrough. I mean, we got to hear the end of the song, right? And then we'll see how it resets. So see how this is currently on? Once it gets to the end of the song, this will turn off. Mm-hmm. And then that triggers that. So the next time the button is pushed, this will start the process over again. Folks, we did it. I hope that makes a semblance of sense. Thanks. It's nice. Should be nice. with an I.